In the parallel world, Buddhism flourishes and Taoism declines, and only the Dragon and Tiger Mountains remain in the world of Taoism. Just when people thought that Taoism was about to disappear, a strange news live broadcast program entered the Heavenly Master's mansion, completely overturning people's understanding of Taoism. Netizen 1. There are hundreds of disciples in the Heavenly Master's mansion. Do you think teaching is weak? Netizen 2. Sleeping slot. Tianshi Academy only charges a tuition fee of 500 yuan per year, and not only does it cover food and accommodation during the semester, but it also distributes 2 Taoist robes for free. More importantly, after graduation, one can still receive a bachelor's degree, and those with excellent grades are directly assigned to work at the Supernatural Bureau. Netizen 3. This college is simply amazing. In class, we don't teach ordinary humanities and sciences, but only the mysterious Qimen Dunjia and Feng Shui secrets. In physical education class, we don't play football or table tennis, only boxing and swordsmanship. In music class, we don't teach harmony in music theory, only learn to play gongs and drums, and directly play the soul-calming suona. Netizen 4. I poke. Funeral activities, tomb relocation, and cave fixing have all come out. Where is this still a live program? Is this clearly filming a thriller? Okay. Host Zhao Mengqiu. Principal Zhang. We made you down to earth, not down to earth. You've brought out black and white impermanence, how can we explain it to netizens? On campus Disciple 1. Principal Zhang is good at everything, but the teaching method is a bit abnormal. On campus Disciple 2. Principal Zhang. Are we practicing immortality? Zhang Beixuan pretended to be taken aback and said, "Oh, you've discovered all of this." Chapter 001. Live Program Approaching Taoism. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Longhu Mountain Shangqing ancient town under the scorching sun, the female host, dressed in professional attire and with beautiful skin, leads a huge photography team, sweating profusely on the withered ancient path of tourists. Hello everyone, audience friends. I am the host Zhao Mengqiu. Welcome to the live program Approaching Taoism. As is well known, Chinese Taoism is gradually disappearing from the world. Currently, only the Longhu Mountain Heavenly Master's mansion remains, still adhering to the inheritance of our ancestors. Speaking of which, Zhao Mengqiu wiped the hot sweat from her head with a regretful expression on her face. In the next half-month, our massive photography team will conduct comprehensive filming of the entire Longhu Mountain, so that everyone can fully understand the entire process of the rise and fall of Taoism. After a brief introduction, netizens in the live broadcast room also sparked a heated discussion. Is this place where birds don't poop the legendary Taoist Holy Land? Host. Are you sure you're not lost? Sigh. The family business of the Celestial Master's Mansion, which has been in existence for thousands of years, has been defeated by this group of stinky Taoist priests like this. If Zhang Tianshi had known about it in the underworld throughout history, he would probably have had to fake corpses and dig them up and strangle them. Hee hee. You're laughing to death. Now is an era of Buddhism's prosperity and Taoism's decline. People have all gone to temples to burn incense and worship Buddha, but you guys are so foolish to come here and shoot Taoism. Aren't you afraid to lose your pants? Hee hee. I have to say that the investors of Approaching Taoism are very knowledgeable about traffic. Look at the host's breasts, are they big and straight? Look at the host's thighs, are they long and white? Dude. You're a fan. To be honest. I'm here for the beautiful host. It's just that she didn't wear black stockings for this episode of the show, and I feel like she's missing some soul. Zhao Mengqiu looked at the dismal number of people in the live broadcast room and began to feel a bit uneasy. At this moment, a little girl wearing a green Taoist robe, holding a peachwood sword in her left hand, and eating bingtanghulu in her right hand, suddenly came running towards everyone. This little girl is about 18 years old, with eyebrows and bangs, a pink and fair face, and a full and straight figure. Her whole figure resembles the goddess of Loli in the anime world. Her appearance not only stunned passers-by and netizens, but also made Zhao Mengqiu envious of her. "Kundo, please stay." The little girl stopped and corrected with a cheerful expression, "Sister." The two realms of heaven and earth refer to the gender of a Taoist, and do not represent the honorific title of a Taoist. When you greet us female Taoists, you can collectively refer to us as Taoists, or you can call us fairy goddess. Zhao Mengqiu smiled lightly as a gesture of politeness and apology, "Little fairy. May I take the liberty of interviewing you with a few questions?" The little girl nodded playfully, "Just call me Hongwan, little sister. But I haven't been here long, so I can only answer some simple questions for you." Zhao Mengqiu asked happily, "Miss Hongwan. You are so young and beautiful, why don't you study hard and instead choose to become a monk? Did you encounter something that you couldn't figure out?" Hee. Red Luan covered her mouth and smiled, "Little sister, I don't know anything about it. Our Longhu mountain belongs to the Zhengyi Taoism, but any disciple who becomes a monk not only doesn't have to give up drinking, lust, and meat, but can also get married and have children like ordinary people. And I am currently studying at Tianshi Academy, which is a place that many people cannot enter even if they want to." Tianshi Academy. Zhao Mengqiu looked surprised. "Do we still have such schools in China? Why have we never heard of them?" Hongwan patiently explained, "The establishment of Tianshi Academy is relatively short. In addition, our principal's character is relatively lazy and low-key, so there are school affairs here that only nearby residents know." Zhao Mengqiu still had some confusion. "Since there is an additional Celestial Master Academy here, why are there fewer tourists to Shangqing ancient town instead?" Hee. Red Luan smiled with 2 rows of big white teeth and said, "The Celestial Master Academy is right inside the Celestial Master Mansion. The principal is worried that tourists will affect our studies, so we have closed the tourist route to the outside world. Tourists cannot see the situation inside the Heavenly Master Mansion, so naturally they are unwilling to come." Oh. Zhao Mengqiu gradually understood the truth behind it. "I heard that the life of Taoists is already poor. Your principal has closed the tourist routes to the outside world and lost a certain amount of ticket income. How should those professional Taoists make a living? Could it be that the registration fee for your enrollment was particularly high?" "That's not it." Red Luan frowned slightly and defended, "Our college only charges 500 yuan per year for tuition, which includes food, accommodation, and 2 Taoist robes. More importantly, after we complete our studies, the college will also issue us with a graduation certificate for our undergraduate diploma. As for the living problems of professional Taoists, you don't have to worry anymore. Because each of them possesses unique skills such as fortune-telling, treating illnesses and saving lives, Feng Shui and geomancy, and warding off evil spirits and disasters, which are all ways to support their families." Zhao Mengqiu felt that this matter was not so simple. "Miss Hongwan. There is no such thing as pie falling from the sky. Your studies must be very boring, very hard, and difficult to complete." Hee, said the Red Luan with a mischievous smile, "You may not even believe it. Our college does not teach ordinary humanities and sciences, only the mysterious Feng Shui techniques and Qimen Dunjia. Usually when the teacher talks about the topic on stage, we play the game tool below. Whenever the teacher talks about the key points of Feng Shui, they also ask the principal to take us to the wild mountains and ridges for on-site observation. When it comes to physical education class, we don't play football or table tennis. The teacher only teaches us how to punch and practice swordsmanship. And in our music class, we don't learn harmony music theory either. We only learn how to play gongs and drums, and only play the soulful suona." Zhao Mengqiu's face showed a stunned expression. "Miss Hongwan. After school, will the college let you work on the ground?" Or will the teacher assign endless homework? Red Luan walked towards the street on the east side and said, "Where did you get any homework without studying humanities and sciences? Our homework after school every day is either drawing talismans, arranging formations, or tying scarecrows or sharpening peach-wood swords. As for the work done underground, it all depends on the student's voluntary participation." As soon as these words are spoken, the comments in the live broadcast room instantly exploded. Sleeping slot. Where is reading? This is clearly the cultivation life in the fantasy world, okay. Miss Hongluan is so beautiful. She is completely the white moonlight in my heart. Poor and ugly losers like us should just go to the Heavenly Master Academy to hang out and die. Not saying anything. I'm going to become a monk and cultivate at Longhu Mountain. It's nothing else. Just to hear you call me, fairy sister. Old ties, do you think this program will shoot the scenes of exorcism, disaster avoidance, and catching ghosts and demons? Laughing to death. Now it's a scientific society. You're not here to deceive people with lies. Since it is now a scientific society, why are there still hundreds of millions of people burning incense and worshipping Buddha? Between striving for progress and going to work, people prefer to burn incense. Between seeking others and seeking oneself, people prefer to pray to Buddha. Moreover, Buddha always makes an okay gesture. Don't you think he is very friendly? How kind. Last time I went to the temple to get money, but I was detained for 15 days. It's all his mother because of the okay gesture. Zhao Mengqiu watched as the number of people in the live broadcast room gradually increased, and her heart finally breathed a sigh of relief. Miss Hongluan. Both Buddhism and Taoism have a history of thousands of years. Do you know why Buddhism is more prosperous than Taoism? Red Luan walked ahead and pondered for a moment. Little sister. I am a Taoist disciple, so I am not suitable for answering this question. You should go ask the passing uncle. Yeah. Nowadays, the two religions of Buddhism and Taoism seem to coexist harmoniously, but in reality, no one is convinced in secret. I'm asking you this question, it's a bit excessive and impolite. Zhao Mengqiu sighed to herself for a moment, then reached out to stop an elderly man with white hair and said, "Grandpa. May I ask how you view the rise and fall of Buddhism in contemporary society? Is Buddhism flourishing and Taoism declining?" The old man with white hair shook his head and smiled bitterly. Little girl. If Taoism is not active, it does not mean that Taoism is declining. If Taoist disciples do not enter the world, it does not prove that they are dead. There is a saying that goes, Sanqing only needs mud to shape his body, but Buddha needs gold plating. In times of chaos, bodhisattvas do not appear, but the old Taoist carries a sword to save the people. In times of prosperity, Buddhism faces pilgrims, while Taoism retreats to the mountains and forests. I have seen the monk who made a fortune. Have you seen the Taoist who begged for food? Actually, you should be grateful that there are fewer Taoists who have entered the world. Because when their group emerges, it will only prove that the world is in chaos. Chapter 002. Dragon and Tiger Youth, Purple-Robed Heavenly Master. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The answer from the old man with white hair deeply touched Zhao Mengqiu. She thought to herself that in the history of China, both Buddhism and Taoism have had heroes and villains, so I cannot distinguish between them who is noble and who is great. The advantages of Taoism, which is self-sufficient and does not seek any punishment from the world, are worth learning from. After bidding farewell to the old man with white hair, Zhao Mengqiu quickened her pace and caught up with Hongluan. Miss Hongluan. Our photography team wants to go to Tianshi Academy to shoot a few days of live programs. Can you help me recommend your principal? Here. Hongluan held Bingtanghulu and pointed to the old building nearby. There is Tianshi College. My headmaster is sitting at the door to recruit disciples. Zhao Mengqiu and others looked up and saw a handsome young man wearing a purple Taoist robe at the entrance of the Heavenly Master's mansion, sitting in front of a square tabletop. He sometimes started to pamper the little milk dog on the table, and sometimes raised his hand to greet passing tourists. This layman. I see that you have a green light gathering on your head and an abnormal complexion. I'm afraid there may be any reckless disasters recently. Come on, come on. Follow me to practice Taoism. I guarantee you to seek good fortune, avoid misfortunes, and alleviate disasters and difficulties. The black-faced man passing by glared at him with a murderous aura and said, "Stinky Taoist. Don't be here to deceive others with your demonic words. With my muscles, who dares to cuckold me? O_O, you have a lot of muscles, it's useless. Stabilizing a wife relies on looks, wealth, and endurance. Fortunately, the one in your family did not meet the handsome and long-lasting tomato reader, otherwise the green light above your head would have been on Mars long ago." Zhang Beixuan muttered to himself for a moment, then looked up at a plump woman and said, "Female laywoman. Your eyebrows are black and your complexion is dark. This is a great omen. Our Heavenly Master Mansion has many profound methods that prevent evil from invading and turn misfortune into good fortune. As long as you practice with me for 3 to 5 months, I will ensure that you are reborn and radiant." The plump woman gave him a seductive glance with a faint smile and said, "Do you still need a little kid like you to remind me about wearing a big bra?" Zhang Beixuan's head was covered in black lines and said, "I'm not referring to this aspect. Is it important?" The plump woman leaned onto the square table, her slightly worn legs, and immediately heard a creaking sound. "Little Taoist. Now is the era of Buddha's prosperity and decline, and no one will believe anything you say. However, considering your handsome appearance, I would be more than happy to delve deeper into the issue of bras with you." The groove squeezed out from her chest made Zhang Beixuan's mind ripple, almost breaking through the defense on the spot. Ba. I'm Ba. Blessed is the infinite heavenly sovereign. Female laywoman, please take care of yourself. I'm not good at this. He. The plump woman smiled, picked up a pen and paper, and casually wrote down an address. Although your mouth is stubborn, your body is very honest. This is my sister's hotel address near the ancient town. If you've figured it out, come and find her tonight. Sister, you will experience the true joy of being a man then. Netizens in the live broadcast room couldn't help but emit funny bullet comments when they saw Zhang Beixuan's recruitment scene. Beauty. Let go of that little Taoist. If you have the ability, come towards me. Laughing to death. I even shouted the wrong slogan, but fortunately I said I'm not good at it. If this beautiful woman teases him a few more words, I guess this little Taoist will probably follow her. In the afterlife, I am willing to transform into a square table and withstand the pressure of all the beautiful women's waves. Oh. This square table is really pitiful, tsk. This little Taoist's appearance is also amazing. Even if Xiao Zhan and Yang saw it, they would probably feel inferior. Netizens have overlooked Zhang Beixuan's identity as the principal, but the host Zhao Mengqiu remembers this clearly, and she also has great doubts about it. Red. Miss Hongluan. This purple-robed little Taoist is the president of your college. When her principal was questioned, a hint of displeasure appeared on Hongluan's face. What kind of purple-robed little Taoist? He is the highest-ranking purple-robed heavenly master in the entire Longhu Mountain. Don't underestimate my principal, he's really talented. Taoism is rarely active in the world, so Zhao Mengqiu became more and more confused as he listened. I have only heard of the yellow-robed heavenly master and the red-robed heavenly master. When did another purple-robed heavenly master appear? Lonely and ignorant. Red Luan curled her red lips with a hint of anger and said, "Our Taoist robes on Longhu Mountain come in 7 colors, from high to low. Purple, red, yellow, green, white, and black. The purple Taoist robe, also known as the heavenly immortal cave clothes, represents supreme authority and status. Usually, only descendants of Zhang Daoling's ancestor, the heavenly master, or those with outstanding achievements in their ancestors are eligible to wear it. According to valid statistics, when all branches of Taoism existed more than a decade ago, there were over 70,000 Taoist monks living and practicing in the entire Chinese Taoist temple. However, among these 70,000 Taoist monks, there were only over 30 purple-robed heavenly masters. Our Longhu Mountain is a Taoist orthodoxy, so the status of our school principal should be higher than theirs. Omega, oh my goodness. As you said. Isn't the purple-robed young man in front of me the first person in the entire Chinese Taoism? Zhao Mengqiu looked closely at Zhang Beixuan with a shocked gaze, and saw that he was tall, heroic, and exceptionally handsome, giving people the illusion of falling in love at first sight. Especially the purple Taoist robe on his body, embroidered with dragons, phoenixes, cranes, and white cloud sacred beasts, looks mysterious and shiny, making people unable to help but feel a sense of awe. Tsk a fairy-like youth. No wonder women passing by the heavenly master's mansion couldn't help but glance at him a few more times. Zhao Mengqiu exclaimed in surprise and then asked Hongwuan with a faint smile, Miss Hongwuan. I dare to ask your school principal for his surname and name. Hongwuan couldn't help but laugh and cry, of course the purple-robed heavenly master of Longhu Mountain is surnamed Zhang. However, his full name is rarely known. If you want to inquire, you have to ask the elderly people inside and outside the town. Speaking of which, Hongwuan took a step forward and ran towards Zhang Beixuan, bouncing and jumping, saying, Principal. I'm back. Upon hearing this, Zhang Beixuan felt a headache and thought to himself, come back as soon as you come back. Why are you acting so excited? People who don't know think that our heavenly master mansion is a place for men to steal and women to prostitute. Hongwuan ran up to him, jumped and jumped with his arms, like a little girl when she was coquetry. Principal. I bought you a string of bingtanghulu. At this time, she had killed 3 of the 7 hawthorns on the bingtanghulu, and the remaining 4 still had wet traces. It is not difficult to guess that she had licked several mouthfuls on her way back. Zhang Beixuan's face was speechless and he didn't know how to say she was good. You can eat it yourself. I'm avoiding candy today. Our Taoism has many taboos, but what about avoiding sugar? Oh. I understand. The principal is criticizing me. Redluan shook his arm with a smile and said, Principal. You can eat it. I haven't eaten a single bite of these 4 hawthorns. I'm lying to you, I'm just a ram tiger. Camping tiger, the name of the little milk dog on the square table, it is only the size of a palm. Some people say it looks like a dog, some say it looks like a cat, but only no one says it looks like a tiger. Zhang Beixuan waved his hand in anger and laughter, it's all your halberries up there. Are you still saying you haven't eaten them? All right. Stay on the side. Don't delay me receiving guests. Hongwuan regretfully retreated to the side and said to himself, this is not someone's saliva. It is clearly that the weather is too hot. How about the sugar juice after the melting of bingtanghulu? Chapter 003. Sudden Challenger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If it weren't for what she saw with her own eyes, Zhao Mengqiu would never have believed that Zhang Beixuan was the leader of Longhu Mountain. After all, apart from his handsome appearance, he doesn't look like a virtuous expert no matter what. And he stood with Hongwuan, even the director next to him felt like he was filming an idol program. Fortunately, the number of people in the live broadcast room is continuing to soar at this time, and everyone can be considered to have taken some peace of mind. Zhao Mengqiu walked forward with a faint smile and nodded slightly at Zhang Beixuan as a gesture of politeness. Hello, Principal Zhang. I am Zhao Mengqiu, the host of the Strange Stories live program. Blessed is the infinite heavenly sovereign. Zhang Beixuan bowed back and said, "Do you all want to enter our heavenly master's mansion and shoot a program?" Zhao Mengqiu said straightforwardly, "Our program theme for this episode is called Approaching Taoism. We are here to lead billions of viewers to thoroughly understand the rise and fall history of Taoism and the daily lives of Taoists. I hope President Zhang can make it convenient." Zhang Beixuan's face was calm and expressionless, making it impossible to see through his thoughts. Zhao Jusher. Some things in Taoism are beyond ordinary people's understanding. Even if you shoot them, you probably won't be able to broadcast them. Zhao Mengqiu responded with a smile, "Principal Zhang, please rest assured. Our program team has already obtained the maximum live broadcast permission. There will definitely be no suspension of broadcasting. And our program not only helps promote Taoist culture in Longhu Mountain, but also helps you recruit more disciples." Zhang Beixuan pondered for a moment and said, "Shooting a program is okay. But you have to agree to 2 conditions. Our program team is helping your heavenly master mansion. Why are you still thinking of making conditions? You don't want the lion to speak up and slaughter us, do you?" Zhao Mengqiu smiled apologetically and made a gesture of invitation. "Principal Zhang, but it's okay to say so." Zhang Beixuan looked around and said, "Firstly, you must all abide by the basic rules of the Heavenly Master's mansion. You are not allowed to approach the forbidden areas such as the demon subduing hall and the scripture pavilion without permission. Secondly, we are not favored by the world and will not become a tool for others to accumulate wealth, so you must close the reward channel for live streaming." This. Zhao Mengqiu looked puzzled and could only turn back to seek the director's opinion. The director nodded calmly, indicating that all these conditions were acceptable. Zhao Mengqiu smiled and said, "Principal Zhang. The 2 conditions you proposed will be strictly followed by our entire program team. Before entering the Heavenly Master's mansion, I would like to take the liberty of asking you a few questions." Zhang Beixuan casually replied, "May I ask Zhao Jusher?" Zhao Mengqiu took 2 steps to the left and asked the photographer to take a close-up shot of him. Buddhism and Taoism are both major religions in China. Why can Buddhism go global while Taoism's path becomes narrower and narrower? Zhang Beixuan calmly explained, "First of all, there are different religious beliefs. Our Taoism emphasizes self-cultivation, pursues transcendence, and does not like to be organized or organized, nor does it set strong and powerful religious rules and doctrines. Secondly, the culture of Taoism is quite mysterious and profound, and ordinary people find it difficult to understand its meaning, making it very difficult to spread. Finally, the life of Taoism is slightly plain, and people prefer the urban lights, wine, and extravagance." Zhao Mengqiu suddenly became enlightened and said, "Principal Zhang. People say it's not as good as the Buddha, and the Buddha is far better than the Tao. What do you think about this?" Zhang Beixuan's lips slightly curved upwards, as if mocking the issue and disdaining Buddhism. "The high way does not fear monks, the high monks do not fear the way. Who is strong or weak is not so important." A hint of embarrassment appeared on Zhao Mengqiu's face. "May I ask Principal Zhang, how many students are currently enrolled in Tianshi Academy? What are the conditions for recruiting students?" Zhang Beixuan candidly said, "There are currently 75 students in Tianshi Academy. When we recruit students, we not only need to look at their basic understanding, but also need to look at their character and patience." 75 students. It's not as shabby as imagined. Moreover, it is extremely difficult for you to recruit so many people at a young age. Zhao Mengqiu gradually changed her view of him and said, "Principal Zhang. I think you should lower the standards for recruiting students in order to better promote Taoist culture." Zhang Beixuan smiled lightly and shook his head. "Buddhism has a rule of only valuing welfare. Only valuing those who are destined. Of course, Taoism also emphasizes the importance of preferring scarcity over excess. Even if I lower the income threshold, they won't be able to learn anything here, and in the end, it's just a waste of time. Principal Zhang's words are absolutely right. Zhao Mengqiu continued to ask thoughtfully, I heard that your college only charges students 500 yuan in tuition fees every year. During the semester, not only does it cover food and accommodation, but it will also award undergraduate diplomas after graduation. Is this true? It's true. Zhang Beixuan added earnestly, and students who work underground, participate in legal activities, and help the college cut firewood and carry water will also receive corresponding labor remuneration. Zhao Mengqiu was surprised and said, Principal Zhang. Such expenses are not a small sum of money. Zhang Beixuan understood her meaning and said, Our Heavenly Master Mansion has an independent financial department that uniformly plans Feng Shui, funeral rituals, medical treatment, and income from field products. There are also entry-level disciples after graduation who are grateful for the cultivation of the college. Every year, they donate a sum of money to the government, so our lives are relatively fulfilling. Zhao Mengqiu smiled and exclaimed, It seems that Principal Zhang is not only an outstanding leader, but also a remarkable businessman. As soon as the words fell, a middle-aged man in his 40s, who was not tall and had a sanitary beard, suddenly rushed into the camera with three big men, Yoshi. I didn't expect to encounter a silly crew filming a program in such a place where birds don't poop. His sudden appearance caught Zhao Mengqiu off guard. Sir. We are filming a live program, please pay attention to your words to avoid damaging the image of your country. Live program. The middle-aged man burst into laughter and said, Wow haha. God really helped me. At this point, the middle-aged man turned around to face the camera and said, I'm dripping. Let me first introduce myself briefly to you. My name is Jiannan Nakamura. He is a skilled fighter in karate. To be honest, my intention when I came to Longhu Mountain today was to teach these notorious and mischievous bullnosed Taoists a lesson. Don't be in a hurry to get angry yet, because when I step on them all and declare that there is no more Taoism in China, I'm afraid you'll be furious on the spot. Ha ha ha. Jiannan Nakamura finished proudly and walked into the Celestial Master's mansion with a burst of laughter. Upon seeing this, Zhang Beixuan raised his right hand and earnestly reminded, this layman. You have the appearance of a great disaster. Once you enter this door, life and death will be unpredictable. You must not act recklessly, layman. He he. Jiannan Nakamura said with a fierce smile on his face, little Taoist. You are so good at counting. Have you calculated that you will have a bloody disaster today? Do you dare to come out and fight me in chapter 004? You are listening at novel full.audio. Why can't you listen to this little day? This is a Taoist holy land. With just a few crooked melons and cracked dates, you still want to go in and overturn this place. Isn't this just a pipe dream? Hey! Blessed is the infinite heavenly sovereign. A person who seeks his own way of death, I cannot persuade him no matter how hard I try. Zhang Beixuan sighed to himself for a moment, and could only watch as Jiannan Nakamura broke into the Heavenly Master's mansion. Principal. Why didn't you teach them a lesson just now? Red Luan, standing next to him, didn't quite understand Zhang Beixuan's approach. She thought to herself, aren't you a person who will seek revenge and vent anger? How did you become a good man and a faithful woman today? Are you worried that live streaming programs will damage the image of Taoism? Zhang Beixuan's lips slightly raised and he said, Red Luan. With guests coming, I can't refuse people thousands of miles away, can I? Hurry up and notify the disciples in the mansion to gather at the martial arts arena for class. He he. I understand. Red Luan quickly understood his intention and ran into the courtyard. Senior brothers and sisters. Senior brothers and sisters. The principal asked us to gather at the martial arts arena to start the class. Their abnormal behavior left Zhao Mengqiu very puzzled. She thought to herself, even the wild little days have come knocking at her door, do you still have the mood to attend classes? What are you really thinking? The arrogant remarks of Jiannan Nakamura spread to the live broadcast room, instantly igniting the anger of thousands of netizens. I wish you a damn little life. I wish you all the best in getting beaten up and suffering from urinary and fecal incontinence. When Taoism was strong, why didn't you come and cause trouble? From the Malgobi. Do you only know how to pick and pinch soft persimmons? You have the guts to provoke Buddhism. I know this grandson. He has defeated many branches of Taoism in recent years and even forced the defeated sects to take off their plaques. I also know him. This grandson's moves are quite ruthless and ruthless. He dares to use any techniques such as teasing the vagina, kicking the crotch, and releasing hidden weapons. It's simply despicable to the extreme. It's over. The Heavenly Master's mansion is probably doomed today. Your grandmother. Do you have any martial arts experts who can come forward and beat up this slut? If so, I will live stream a performance of eating xiang and cheer for him. Is beating him hard enough to relieve his anger? A lowly man like Nakamura should be killed directly. You're right. If anyone kills Nakamura, I'll stand on my head and show everyone the explosive grass electric fan. Sigh, brother. Eating xiang is already disgusting enough, how dare you swear so harshly? I can't help but feel the pain from listening. After a few minutes, Zhang Beixuan, along with Zhao Mengqiu and a large photography team, walked through the corridors of the Tianshi mansion and arrived at the vicinity of the martial arts arena. Zhao Mengqiu and others looked up and saw 300 to 400 long-robed Taoist priests standing on the vast martial arts arena. These Taoists vary in age, height, and weight. Some hold peach and wood swords, some hold gossip plates, and some hold white brush dust. Especially the more than 20 men in yellow robes and 2 elderly men in red robes looked very eye-catching. Gollum. The spectacular scene in front of him frightened Nakamura Kino, who even suspected that he had gone to the wrong place. Zhao Mengqiu suppressed her inner excitement and stared at Zhang Beixuan in amazement, asking, Zhang. Principal Zhang. Didn't you say that there are only 75 students in Tianshi Academy? How could there be such a person on the martial arts arena? Yeah. Zhang Beixuan nodded straightforwardly. There are only 75 students in the Celestial Master Academy, and the remaining 248 are disciples of the inner courtyard of the Celestial Master Mansion. Zhao Mengqiu's face was dull as he said, do you still have an inner courtyard and an outer courtyard here? Of course. Zhang Beixuan replied calmly, the outer courtyard is the Heavenly Master Academy, and the inner courtyard is the Heavenly Master Mansion. Students can only enter the inner courtyard and become true disciples of Taoism after graduating from the outer courtyard. Zhao Jusher. You don't think there's no one in our Heavenly Master Mansion, do you? Ah. Zhao Mengqiu was shocked for a moment. Principal Zhang was joking. I never had the idea of looking down on Longhu Mountain. Zhang Beixuan smiled silently and thought to himself, little sample. Tell you that our Longhu Mountain is declining, and tell you that our Heavenly Master Mansion is not capable. You must be confused now. A young man behind Jiannan Nakamura was stared at by hundreds of Taoist priests, his whole body trembling with fear. Damn it! How could there be so many Taoist priests in the Heavenly Master's mansion? Nakamura. What should we do now? Jiannan Nakamura stepped back and whispered, what else can we do? Hurry up and withdraw. Previously, the branches of Taoism they challenged were not only small sects of 20.30 people, but there were also no decent experts among them. However, the number of people in the Heavenly Master Mansion has far exceeded their imagination, and they have naturally lost the courage to challenge themselves. After all, the 4 of them are far away in a foreign land. If these Taoist priests don't speak of martial arts, then they will be completely miserable. Just as they were slowly moving back and wanting to escape, Red Yuan, standing in the crowd, suddenly pointed at them and shouted. Master Zhang's uncle. They threatened to challenge our heavenly master's mansion. They also said they would trample all of you under their feet, leaving us with no more Taoism in China. As soon as these words are spoken, hundreds of Taoist priests, infuriated by their pupi, immediately surrounded the four of Nakamura Jiannan in the center. Japanese thieves. You big daredevil. Humph. Dare to act wild on my dragon and tiger mountain. Just tell me how you want to die. My heavenly master's mansion doesn't like fighting, it doesn't mean that I am righteous and without anyone else. The condemnation and aura of hundreds of Taoist priests frightened the four of them, causing their faces to turn pale and their bodies to tremble. With no way out, Jiannan Nakamura could only pretend to be calm and shout loudly, "What do you want to do? Do you want to bully the less with more? You guys look back and take a good look. There are several cameras shooting over there. Do you want the whole world to laugh at you? Blessed is the infinite heavenly sovereign." Zhang Xianlin, a white-haired old Taoist in a red robe, waved his brush and said, "Everyone, please step back." "Yes," said the leader, and the Taoist priests had to retreat to the side with anger. Zhang Xianlin calmly walked towards them for a few steps and said, "I have already heard of the four monks cutting off my branch of Taoism. You came to Longhu Mountain today with the aim of destroying my heavenly master's mansion, right?" He. A young man apologized in a low voice, "Master Zhang is joking. We're just traveling to Longhu Mountain. We never thought of challenging you." What a coward. Jiannan Nakamura raised his hand and slapped him in the face. "They can't hold their face and besiege us. You're so scared." The young man stood up straight and nodded in apology, "Hey. What Nakamura taught you?" Nakamura Jiannan mustered up his courage and arrogantly shouted, "I'll tell you the truth. I brought a life and death situation today, you either subdue me or I will depose you. If you have the courage, send someone out to fight against us alone." He. Zhang Xianlin grinned and said, "The four laymen are guests from afar, and I won't bully you either." Among the Taoist disciples present, except for those wearing green and green Taoist robes, you can freely choose one as your opponent. A middle-aged man with a serious expression said, "Lord Nakamura. This old Taoist is taking a big breath. It seems like we kicked onto the iron plate today." "Nonsense. I'm not blind. Do you still need to remind me of this matter? However, Dragon and Tiger Mountain is our last stop, even if they are just an iron plate, we will grit our teeth and kick them up. Otherwise, after we go back, we will only have to apologize by cutting our stomachs." Nakamura Jiannan didn't talk much nonsense to him, but focused on observing the yellow-robed Taoist not far away. These yellow-robed Taoist priests each have a red face, a lively expression, and balanced breathing, all of whom appear to be top-notch experts. And the remaining two red-robed Taoist priests, seemingly old and frail, are actually shining with their eyes, immortal demeanor, and spiritual energy leaking from the side. Jiannan Nakamura doesn't know if he can win against the yellow-robed Taoist, but he is very certain that the red-robed Taoist's 3 or 5 moves can make him fall to the ground. Just as he was struggling to make a choice, his companion suddenly pulled his arm and said, "Nakamura. There's a purple-robed kid over there. The purple robe is not within the range of the green robe and the green robe, you can just take advantage of this loophole." Yoshi. Jiannan Nakamura was ecstatic and suddenly turned to point at Zhang Beixuan. "The kid in the purple robe. Do you dare to come out and fight me?" Chapter 005. A smile from the Heavenly Master. Life and death are hard to predict. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The shouting of Nakamura Kino had just ended, and hundreds of Taoist priests in the room all gasped for breath and threw stunned and shocked glances at him. Even Zhang Beixuan himself couldn't help but glance around, seriously doubting whether he had hallucinations. "What are you looking at?" "I'm referring to you." Jiannan Nakamura's face was full of pride, as if he had picked up a huge bargain. Fushan Wuliang Tianzuan. Zhang Xianlin reminded with a serious expression, Nakamura layman. You should choose a new opponent. I'm afraid. Jiannan Nakamura raised his hand to interrupt his nonsense, fearing that he would change his mind and turn back on his words. Old man. At most, I will beat him to pieces, and I will never kill him. What else are you afraid of? Zhang Xianlin hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to say. He thought to himself, do you know who the person wearing the heavenly immortal cave clothes is? He is my grand-uncle. If you spar and fight with us, we will consider the opinions of the world to some extent, leaving you with a small life. You're playing tricks on him with your nose and face, just like a little ghost pulling out the beard of the king of hell. Hey! It's ridiculous that you're still complacent. Jiannan Nakamura saw him silent and immediately smiled arrogantly, asking, why? Can't I choose him as my opponent? Can. Zhang Xianlin nodded reflexively in response, wanting to smile but not daring to laugh. Since you can compete with him, don't waste his mother time. Nakamura Jiannan casually took out the birth and death form, which was coaxed to his face. Let him sign the life and death form quickly. After the fight, I'm still anxious to go out to eat. Zhang Xianlin reached out to take the life and death gesture, his face already covered in black lines. He thought to himself, are you in a hurry to go out for dinner? You're clearly rushing to get reincarnated, okay? By the way. Today, the scorching sun is shining in the sky, and your hometown is thousands of miles away. You may not even have a chance to be reincarnated. The challenge has become a foregone conclusion, and Jiannan Nakamura couldn't contain his excitement. He quickly ran to the live broadcast camera to show off his strength. I am Jiannan from Zhongsuan. Today, let's take a good look at how fragile your Chinese Taoism is. Our Japanese Empire's karate is the strongest existence in the world. Ha ha ha. I knew you were cursing me without looking at the comments. But it's okay, you cowards have no choice but to play tricks and become keyboard warriors. Zhang Xianlin twitched the corners of his mouth and walked up to Zhang Beixuan, bowing, Grand Master. Do you see this life and death situation? Lying trough. Do you call him Taisher uncle? I didn't hear it wrong, did I? Jiannan Nakamura's heart suddenly trembled, and his wild smile froze on his face. Zhang Beixuan's face was full of displeasure and he said, didn't you call me the principal? You should call me the Taisher uncle with chicken feathers. Life and death are exempt. There's no need to be so troublesome dealing with a small day. Yes. The disciple has been taught. Zhang Xianlin arched his hands and retreated to the side, calmly waiting for the next performance. Zhang Beixuan walked towards Jiannan Nakamura with his left hand on his back and said, damn it. I asked you to take a move first, so that you won't even have a chance to take action later. Nakamura Jiannan was frightened by his imposing demeanor and seniority, and retreated step by step in a cold sweat. The middle-aged man from Japan raised his hand and pushed his back to comfort him, saying, don't be afraid, Nakamura. There are very few yin and yang masters in the world. This ox-nosed old Taoist must be pretending to be a god and playing tricks. Gulu. Nakamura Jiannan swallowed a mouthful of saliva and shouted, purple-robed boy. Don't his mother scare me. I'll give you a move too. You can use your most powerful martial arts directly. Kung Fu. Hee hee. Zhang Beixuan smiled wickedly, I don't know much Kung Fu. But I have some understanding of Taoism. As soon as these words were spoken, hundreds of Taoist priests who were watching couldn't help but burst out laughing on the spot. This grandson picked for a long time, and finally picked the most powerful expert in the whole field. He even thought he had found a huge advantage. Ha ha ha. He's laughing at me. Our Taoism regards the left hand as good and the right hand as evil. The principal carries his left hand forward, it seems that this little day is more or less unlucky. Nonsense. Our principal rarely laughs wickedly, and whenever he smiles wickedly, he usually dies. This is called Master Tian's smile. Life and death are unpredictable. Principal. Teach him a good lesson. Don't let him get better. That's right. It's best to kick his shit out and have him eat it in front of the camera lens. Ah. Listening to everyone's discussion, Jiannan Nakamura was so scared that his legs went limp and he almost collapsed on the spot. Ah, your sister. Look at the move. Zhang Beixuan slapped his right palm across the air, and a fist-sized compass spell seal popped out of his palm in an instant. Kaka kaka kaka, the compass curse seal spun at lightning speed, shining with golden light, gradually growing in the wind, and headed straight towards Jiannan Nakamura at lightning speed. Ah! Jiannan Nakamura was shocked and fled in a panic. However, the speed of the compass curse seal was too fast, and he was hit straight before taking a step. Bang! The compass curse seal was shattered without any trace, and Nakamura Jiannan did not retreat a single step, and his whole body was completely unscathed. But at this moment, his eyes were filled with fear, and his head was covered in cold sweat. Because when the compass curse imprint hit him, he clearly felt his three soul energy, all of which were knocked out of his body, and a phantom of 3 or 4 meters was pulled out from behind. Due to Zhang Beixuan's speed of action being too fast, the onlookers only saw a flash of golden light and did not see the specific shape of the compass spell seal. Ha ha ha. The middle-aged man laughed and patted Nakamura Kino's shoulder. Nakamura Jun. I'll say they're just pretending to be mischievous. You can take action now with peace of mind and cripple this purple-robed kid. Let these East Asian sick men see the power of our karate. It doesn't matter if the middle-aged man doesn't take a photo. With a photo, Nakamura Jiannan knelt down on the ground, while a foul-smelling yellow liquid flowed out of his pants. Ah! The middle-aged man crouched down in fear and shook his shoulders vigorously. Nakamura. What's wrong with you? Nakamura. Wake up. Jiannan Nakamura regained his senses and looked around in a daze. Not only did everything in his eyes produce a phantom, but it also turned into black and white. He is an yin-yang master. He is an yin-yang master. Nakamura Jiannan growled and kowtowed to Zhang Beixuan one after another. Little Taoist. No. Grandpa. Immortal. I was lost in my mind by evil spirits, and now I ran to Dragon and Tiger Mountain and collided with your old man's house. Please, old man, for the sake of my ignorance and foolishness, spare my despicable life. If you let me go back today, I will definitely set up a longevity tablet for you, burn incense every day, and wish you 100 years of longevity. Chapter 006. The Tragic End of the Challenger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I am a cultivator. Do you burn incense and wish me 100 years of longevity? You are cursing me to die early. Just for your filial piety, I will make you die 10 or 8 times no matter what I say today. Zhang Beixuan waved his right hand fiercely, and a compass spell seal popped out of his palm once again. Bang! The compass curse hit Nakamura Kino and immediately knocked him to the ground. Nakamura Kino lay on the ground, rolling his eyes, foaming at his mouth, trembling all over, his whole body resembling a crazy epilepsy patient. Nakamura. Nakamura. The middle-aged man pounced in front of him and kept pressing his chest, helping him perform CPR and finger pressure. Nakamura. Don't scare me. Nakamura Kino's whole body was uncontrollable, and he could only look blankly into his eyes. Help. Help me. Help me. I didn't even see the moves of the purple-robed kid clearly. How can I save you? Lord Nakamura. You can leave the broken jade here. After I return, I will definitely report your heroic deeds to Colonel Watanabe. The middle-aged man stood up resolutely and ran desperately towards the exit direction. The remaining two men saw him turn around and run away, and joined the ranks of the fugitives. Damn it! You broke into my Taoist holy land. You still want to leave safely. Do you really think of me as the Heavenly Master's mansion? Is it the backyard of your country? A yellow-robed Taoist waved his sleeve and shouted angrily, "My disciples, listen. Stop these three little thieves. No matter what." Yes. Hundreds of Taoist priests responded in unison and then surrounded three Japanese men. The middle-aged man from Japan was desperate, so he nervously pointed to the camera and warned the Taoist priests, "What do you want to do? Are you not afraid of being ridiculed by the world for deceiving the little with the many? I tell you, I am a citizen of the Japanese Empire. If you besiege us, it will inevitably provoke war between the two countries." Hundreds of green-robed Taoist priests angrily pushed towards the three of them step by step. "If you scumbags want to destroy our Taoism and the Japanese want to join in the fun, then fight. I'll be the first to sign up for the war. To be honest with you, I lack everything in Longhu Mountain, I just don't lack cowards. Damn it. Dare to threaten us with a war between two countries. Do you think we're scared? Just because my Heavenly Master's mansion doesn't care about worldly affairs doesn't mean we can sit idly by and watch the mountains and rivers break." The powerful and resounding answers of the Taoist priests frightened the three Japanese men, leaving them shivering with fear. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be impulsive. The war between the two countries will lead to bloodshed and death. Aren't you afraid? Yeah, everyone. You don't need to implicate more innocent people for the sake of our three despicable lives. Ladies and gentlemen. Actually, the three of us are just one fart. You let us go without any loss. And we swear that we will never step into China again in this life. The several Taoist priests walking ahead all gritted their teeth and snorted coldly. Afraid. When you were young, even a Chinese person wouldn't hesitate to be afraid. And as our principal said, any dragon or tiger disciple who died in battle has the right to be buried in the ancestral land of the Heavenly Master. In the future, every holiday, I can still enjoy the head incense tribute. Senior brother is right. Being a child not only brings glory to our ancestors, but also allows us to be recorded in our family tree after death. But if we hesitate for a moment, we will be turned into flying ashes by thunder. Tianshi Mansion is not a place where you can come and leave whenever you want. We Chinese people are not someone you can bully casually if you want. If you want to leave today, there is no way. That's it. You've come across the sea to give away human heads. If we don't accept them, won't we let down your enthusiasm? Brothers, let's beat them to death. There's no need to pay attention to martial arts ethics with these animals. After speaking, the green-robed Taoist priests gathered in front and greeted them with heavy punches and feet. Bang 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 bang. The sound of punches hitting the flesh was accompanied by the screams of three Japanese men. Red Luan and Zhao Mengqiu, who were the softest and kindest on the field, did not show any mercy towards them. After a moment, three Japanese men lay on the ground like dead dogs, on the brink of death, their mouths no longer wild and unable to utter a word. Ha Tui. A tall and thin young Taoist spat at them, "With just you cowards, I hope that Japan will launch a war for you. Unless your emperor's mind is full of shit. Principal. What should we do with these three livestock?" Zhang Beixuan said calmly, "First carry them out and throw them outside the town, and then send a few disciples to follow them. We must not let them die." Vice head teacher Zhang Xiansen looked puzzled and said, "Uncle Taisher." Principal. They have come to provoke and insult our Heavenly Master mansion voluntarily. We don't need to care about their lives, do we? Zhang Beixuan's lips slightly curved upwards and he said, Xiansen. Sometimes killing doesn't solve the problem. We have to intimidate the world with a heart-wrenching approach when dealing with animals like them. Otherwise, in the future, a cat and a dog will dare to come to our dragon and tiger mountain to cause trouble. Will we still have a peaceful day then? Zhang Xiansen suddenly woke up and said, does the principal want them to crawl out of China? A child can be taught. Zhang Beixuan nodded with satisfaction. This place is too far from the border of China. Just have someone watch them climb out of Jiangxi. Puzzy. Zhao Mengqiu was amused by his aged posture, making him burst into laughter. She thought to herself, even if your seniority is high, you will never be 20 years old. Is it too amusing for you to use the idiom, a young child can be taught, to respond back and forth to an old man with white hair? Xiansen has been taught. Zhang Xiansen arched his hand and took 3 steps back, then turned to the crowd and ordered, Shan Ming, Shan Wu, Shan Kong. Take people and throw them outside the town, and watch them climb out of the provincial capital. Yes. 3 disciples of the Shanzi generation, along with a few others, lifted the 3 men from the Japanese kingdom out of the martial arts arena. Zhang Beixuan walked over to Jian and Nakamura and loudly said to the crowd, everyone, get your spirits up and watch carefully how I extract the souls of the dead. The technique of capturing souls and soul is a must-test question for the next time. Today I will only demonstrate it once. If any disciples in the inner courtyard cannot learn it, they can wait to go to Tianmen Mountain to drink dew. Adhere to the principal's decree. Hundreds of Taoist priests chanted incantations and pinched their fingers in unison. The heavenly Dharma is clear and the earthly Dharma is spiritual, yin and yang are combined with essence, and water spirit is manifested, spiritual light and water are absorbed, connecting heaven and earth, the Dharma is practiced, and the yin and yang Dharma mirror. The scene of hundreds of Taoist priests chanting mantras in unison not only stunned the students of Tianshi Academy, but also shocked the audience in the live broadcast room. Hey! What about the 2 guys who swore to live stream eating xiang and breaking grass electric fan before? Now that little life has lost, it's your turn to perform. My day! How could these 2 cowards not keep their words? It's fortunate that we still trust you so much. The scene of Ma Lugobi being beaten up just now is really soothing. I must give a thumbs up to the Heavenly Master's mansion, give your sister a thumbs up. Don't you think this is acting? Especially the scene where the purple-robed boy knocked over the Nakamura slut from a distance of 5 or 6 meters, don't you think it's outrageous and surreal? Yeah. I only saw a flash of gold, and then Nakamura slut fell to the ground in a daze. Fool! Do you know what the yin and yang master Nakamura slut is shouting at? The yin and yang master in Japan is equivalent to the cultivator in China. Even the 2 masters in the inner courtyard respectfully call Principal Zhang the Grand Master uncle, so he is definitely not an ordinary person. I guess the golden light he just cast must be some kind of Taoist charm. Ha ha ha. I'm laughing to death. There's another lunatic here talking about cultivators. Have you read too many fantasy novels? Don't believe it. I have seen an eminent monk of Buddhism with my own eyes and performed a golden protective golden bell. You said that people in the Tianshi mansion were acting, so please tell me how to explain hundreds of Taoists beating 3 Japanese people. My Nima. The more you talk, the more mysterious it becomes. I want to rush to Dragon and Tiger Mountain to learn Taoism immediately. Regardless of whether he's real or fake. Anyway, just enjoy watching and enjoy it. By the way, does anyone know what they're reading now? These spells seem to be Taoist spells. Principal Zhang seems to want to teach them some kind of Taoist magic. Take the body of Shaori and teach the disciples of Taoism to solve their doubts. Lie down. This Principal Zhang is amazing. Ha ha ha. Just because of President Zhang's behavior, I must give him 2 rockets to help cheer up. Oh, I wipe. Why is the gift-giving channel closed? Host Zhao Mengqiu. Listen to me. I want to give gifts now. I advise your program team not to meddle. Chapter 007. Principal Zhang's Live Teaching. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Not long after reciting the incantations of hundreds of Taoist priests, the sound that echoed through the sky gradually subsided. Zhang Beixuan casually waved a spiritual power to block the scorching sun in the surrounding area, preventing Nakamura Jiannan's soul from disappearing into ashes after leaving the body. Host Zhao Mengqiu couldn't help but walk up and ask the reason behind it. Principal Zhang. What are you doing? Zhang Beixuan casually took out a delicate peachwood sword from his left sleeve and said, "Didn't I just say that I want to teach them the art of soul capturing and soul stealing? Oh my goodness. How did you put such a long peachwood sword into your sleeve? Why didn't the peachwood sword restrict the freedom of the elbow when you bent your hand?" Zhao Mengqiu was once again shocked in the same place by his unintentional actions. Zhang Beixuan gently reminded, "Zhao Jusher. Could you please step aside and watch? I'm about to start teaching." Zhao Mengqiu was immersed in shock and did not hear any of his reminders. "Hey. I asked you not to come in and shoot, but you didn't listen. Are you scared out of your wits now?" Zhang Beixuan reached out and hugged Zhao Mengqiu's slender waist, looking helpless as he carried her to the side. The process of capturing souls and soul is quite tedious. I will slow down my movements later, and I hope everyone can remember it with heart. If there is anything you don't understand, you can discuss with each other after class or consult your respective masters. The Taoist priests arched their hands and responded, "I understand." Zhang Beixuan walked with strange steps and surrounded Nakamura Jiannan on the ground, slowly dancing his peachwood sword. Head on the sun, moon, and stars, step on the 7-star steps with your feet, dance the peachwood sword with your hands, recite the soul-capturing technique with your mouth, use the yellow talisman as a matchmaker to attract and use the copper bell to summon the soul. The swing of the peachwood sword ended, and Zhang Beixuan casually stuffed it into his sleeve. Then he took out a yellow talisman paper with a spell drawn on it and said, "Fire." "Huh." The yellow talisman paper ignited without fire and burned completely in an instant. The most crucial step has come. Everyone, take a good look. Zhang Beixuan once again took out an antique and fragrant copper bell from his sleeve. Dingling bell, Zhang Beixuan bent down to hold the copper bell and shook Nakamura Jiannan's face 3 times before suddenly standing straight and saying, "Get up." As the word "Qi" blurted out, Nakamura Kino's transparent soul was pulled out of his body by the copper bell. "I'm not dead. Ha ha ha. I'm not dead." Jiannan Nakamura laughed and looked around, not only seeing hundreds of Taoist priests in the arena, but also seeing his body on the ground. "Ha! Why does this person look a bit familiar?" Zhang Beixuan gave him a white glance with black lines all over his head and said, "Stupid." Nakamura Jiannan angrily scolded at the sound, "Baga. You pretend to be a ghost to frighten me, and now you dare to say evil words. Do you believe that I can?" Zhang Beixuan slapped him in the face with a backhand and immediately interrupted his harsh words. "Pa." Jiannan Nakamura stumbled and screamed in agony as he withdrew his body. Standing beside him, Zhao Mengqiu couldn't see the soul of Jiannan Nakamura, but could only see Zhang Beixuan muttering to himself. She thought to herself, "You took out a peachwood sword from the left sleeve, and then a yellow talisman bell from the right sleeve. Did you become Doryman?" Zhang Beixuan stretched lazily and casually pointed to a young Taoist. "Who is that? Come out and demonstrate it to everyone." The young Taoist ran to him with a peachwood sword and bell, laughing and saying, "Principal. I'm not calling that person. My Taoist name is called Shang'o." "Shang'o." Zhang Beixuan frowned slightly and said, "Did you choose your own Taoist name?" The young Taoist smiled and said, "I worshipped my master in a small mountain valley, so the master gave me this Taoist title." Zhang Beixuan roared angrily, "Who is the master of the mountain valley? Get out of here." As soon as these words are spoken, an old Taoist wearing a yellow robe walked out of the crowd in fear and said, "Report to the principal. Disciple Qingsong is the master of the mountain valley." Zhang Beixuan rebuked with a displeased expression on his face, "As a model student, how can you give your disciple a path number at will? The apprentice you collected in the mountain ditch is called mountain gully, isn't the apprentice you collected on the mountain called mountain up? According to your method of selection, what is the difference between our Taoist priests in Longhu Mountain and those in Shari's Yamaguchi, Tanaka, and Murakami?" Qingsong nodded, trembling one after another, "Yes, yes. The principal taught me a lesson." Zhang Beixuan patted his shoulder earnestly and said, "A Taoist name is not only a title, but also the face of a Taoist. To take a Taoist name, it must be grand and loud. Only by walking in the world can I demonstrate the majesty of Longhu Mountain in the future. The street name, Shangno, is too casual and tacky. It's better to change it as soon as possible." Qingsong Lao Dao smiled apologetically and said, "Principal. Otherwise, could you give him one?" Zhang Beixuan touched his chin and was stunned. "Let's call him Shan Pao in the future. The name Shan Pao is not only loud, but also thunderous. Yes. From now on, call him Mountain Cannon. Loud up. What if it's a squib? Principal. Are you sure you're not messing with me?" The mountain ditch was covered in black lines and a headache erupted. "Principal. I think the street name of the mountain ditch is actually quite good. Otherwise, let's not change it, right?" Qingsong, the old Taoist, suppressed his smile and scolded, "Being reckless. The principal can give you a Taoist title with a golden mouth, which is a blessing you have cultivated for several lifetimes. Look at the entire Tianshi mansion, besides the red Luan girl in the outer courtyard, who else has received the principal's name? Have you forgotten the gratitude, propriety, righteousness, and shame that I usually teach you as a teacher? Master. I know I was wrong." Shan Go bowed to Zhang Beixuan with a tearful expression on his face and said, "Thank you very much for giving me the name, Principal. I am extremely grateful, disciple Shan Pao." All right. Zhang Beixuan smiled lightly and waved his sleeve. "Hurry up and show everyone the soul-capturing technique." "Yes." Shan Pao walked up to Jiannan Nakamura and demonstrated vigorously with a peachwood sword. The audience in the live broadcast room laughed their teeth out when they saw such a comedic scene. "Let me strangle him. Principal Zhang has even achieved the title of Mountain Cannon. It seems that his cultural level is also quite limited. Ha ha ha. Didn't you hear him say earlier that the tunnel signal must be loud? Are you saying that the mountain cannon signal won't sound? The sound of this horn is loud, but it feels a bit off. Isn't that right? Hee hee. I'm laughing to death." The head and deputy teachers in their 70s and 80s all have to respectfully call a furry boy the Grand Master Uncle. Is that right? The furry boy has been flipping over Nakamura Jiannan from space, is that scientific? This heavenly master mansion is definitely not as simple as we imagine. Did Principal Zhang's Dementor technique lure out the souls of the Nakamura slut? You ask me, who am I going to ask? I haven't opened my fucking eyes. Hey. Don't make any fuss. I estimate this live broadcast is a drama planned by the director's team in advance. The purpose is to promote Taoism and save the destruction of Dragon and Tiger Mountain. Sleeping Slot. A great deity has restored the golden light that Principal Zhang has created from the air into a blurry pattern. Do you know what it is? It's a yin-yang spell seal of a feng shui compass. My Nima. Is it really fake? Is it so mysterious? All the pictures on the website have been taken. However, the speed of the golden light flashing is too fast, and the god has only restored a part of it. Even a small part can be easily guessed by everyone. Chapter 008. Little Days Jump and Run. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After a moment, the practice of the mountain cannon soul capturing technique has been completed, and Nakamura Kino's soul has once again been extracted from his body. The slap just now from Zhang Beixuan was accompanied by a slight sense of heaven and earth righteousness, so at this moment, Jiannan Nakamura's soul was still suffering from the burning pain. Jiannan Nakamura was suspended 3 inches above the ground, holding his head in a heart-wrenching scream. He not only knew the power of the purple-robed heavenly master now, but also understood that the body lying on the ground was his own flesh. Zhang Beixuan waved his right hand lightly, gesturing for the mountain cannon to retreat to the side. Nakamura layman. What did you say you were going to do to me every minute? Nakamura Jiannan knelt down in terror and kept kowtowing to him, begging for mercy. I wish you immortality every minute. I wish you the Dharma of heaven and earth every minute. I wish you a group of wives and concubines every minute. Little immortal. My dog's eyes see people low, and I have eyes that don't recognize gold and jade. Little immortal. I'm not human. You can save my dog's life. Little fairy. I have an 80-year-old mother above me and a 3 or 4-year-old child below me. Please let me go. I don't want to die yet. Let you go. Hee hee. Zhang Beixuan chuckled dumbfounded. Maybe we can still treat others with leniency. But when it comes to dealing with a small day like you, we must eradicate the root cause. Jiannan Nakamura trembled and cried, Little immortal. You are a Taoist. Isn't a Taoist valuing compassion? You have to bear the consequences of killing me. Just let me go. Zhang Beixuan smiled lightly and shook his head. Only monks can be compassionate, while we Taoists only know how to help sentient beings. Jiannan Nakamura felt a sense of joy in his heart, as if he had grabbed a life-saving straw and said, Little fairy. I am also a sentient being. I also have the right to reform myself. Zhang Beixuan raised his hand and grabbed it, and a powerful suction suddenly shot towards him. Ah! What are you doing? Let go of me. You can't go against the purpose of Taoism. Jiannan Nakamura moved uncontrollably towards Zhang Beixuan, unable to escape the shackles of suction no matter how he resisted and struggled. Zhang Beixuan tightly grabbed his neck and sneered into his eyes. There is an old saying in our Taoism called, heaven and earth are not benevolent, and all things are like cud dogs. Even if you are one of the sentient beings, we can still perform physical transcendence on you. After all, Sanqing Daozu never said that physical transcendence is not in the realm of transcendence. Nakamura layman. The cherry blossoms in your hometown are blooming. It's time for you to go back and take a look. After speaking, Zhang Beixuan clenched his right hand tightly and instantly dispersed Nakamura Jiannan's soul by 9 points. And the remaining wisp of soul is still struggling and screaming in his hands. The young Taoist standing next to Zhang Xianlin asked curiously, Master Zhang. Why is this little day just screaming and struggling without asking for mercy? Zhang Xianlin patiently explained, the principle has already scattered his soul. The current little life is just a remnant with fear and pain. The young Taoist nodded thoughtfully and said, that is to say, these days have lost the ability to speak, think, and desire. But that's not right, Master. The principle has beaten him like this, why not kill him directly? Hee hee. Zhang Xianlin grinned faintly and said, the principle should still want to teach us the art of refining corpse puppets. Hiss. The young Taoist took a cold breath and said, the principle still wants to refine him into a corpse puppet. Zhang Xianlin gave him a stunned look and said, what's so pitiful about such a wild little day? Ah. The young Taoist paused for a moment and said, Master. I'm not sympathizing with the fate of childhood. I'm surprised by the principle's methods. Look. If Shao Ri offends an ordinary person, they can only kill him once at most. Now that I have offended the principal, our principal can first kill his body, then destroy his soul, and finally refine his body into a corpse puppet. Isn't this equivalent to killing him 3 times? Zhang Xianlin was filled with joy and said, "These are all basic operations. Our principal has even more powerful skills. How much we can learn in the future depends on your creativity." The young Taoist smiled happily, as if he had already seen himself wearing a yellow robe and becoming a generation of heavenly masters. "Master Zhang. What is the name of our principal? Why is there no record of him in the heavenly master's mansion?" The smile on Zhang Xuanlin's face instantly solidified, and his tone of voice also became a bit cold as he spoke. "Study your Taoism well. Don't inquire about the principal's affairs." "Oh." The young Taoist looked desolate and thought to himself, "Why do you always avoid discussing the identity of the principal every time you mention it? Is there anything else that cannot be hidden?" Zhang Beixuan controlled his strength and molded the soul of Nakamura Jiannan into an illusory and elusive form. Everyone should remember. There are various ways to refine zombie puppets, but only by sealing the soul into the corpse can more spiritual and powerful zombie puppets be refined. At this point, Zhang Beixuan bent down and casually sealed the remaining soul of Nakamura Jiannan into his body. The technique of sacrificing and refining corpse puppets is not only very cumbersome, but also a forbidden technique of Taoism. I won't show you one by one here. Everyone depends on their abilities to learn as much as they can. However, disciples who have learned it must remember not to use it casually in the future. Because sacrificial refining of corpse puppets requires a certain amount of Taoist practice. If there is not enough Taoist practice, the corpse puppets produced from sacrificial refining can either backfire on themselves or lose control and become a disaster for the party. Hundreds of Taoist priests arched their hands in unison with excitement on their faces and said, "I sincerely follow the teachings of the principal." Zhang Beixuan used both hands together, constantly pinching out various fingertips and striking the Taoist imprint towards the body of Nakamura Jiannan. With the increasing number of Taoist imprints, Nakamura Jiannan, lying motionless on the ground, suddenly catapulted and stood up straight. Sleeping trough. Many timid students from the outer courtyard were frightened by the sudden scene and took 2 steps back. Is this little Day a fake corpse? He won't come up and bite us, will he? Look at your cowardly demeanor. With the principal here, you're so scared. Why are you hiding behind me? Do you want to wait for a little Day to come and push me out as a meat shield? Hee hee. Hey buddy. I just came to the college a few days ago. You have learned more skills than me, so of course I have to hide behind you. I have indeed learned more than you. If I were to launch a fierce attack now, I could easily fight zombies 7 or 3 times. Really, senior brother? Then I'll just follow you from now on. That's still fake. Senior brother, I rushed forward and was killed by zombies in 7 seconds, and then the zombies were 3 times full. Your sister. Is this what you're talking about? Sleeping trough. You guys look. Little Day jumped and ran. My Nima. This grandson neither bends his knees nor stoops. Every jump is more than 2 meters away. This is a fucking zombie. Isn't that right? Why did the zombie jump and run without biting or talking? Ha ha ha. You idiot. Nakamura slut must have been scared by our principal. Chapter 009. They were temporary actors I paid to hire. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The students in Tianshi Academy have all seen some strange things to some extent, so when Nakamura Kino jumped and ran away, they were not too surprised. However, Zhao Mengqiu and the photography team were the first to see such a violation of scientific norms, so they all suspected that it was a play directed and performed by Zhang Beixuan. After all, ghosts and zombies only exist in movies and TV dramas, and no one has ever seen them with their own eyes. Zhang Xianlin, the head teacher, watched as Jiannan Nakamura jumped further and further away, so he gave orders to the two yellow-robed Taoists. Xianqing, Xuani. You two should immediately take action to kill this Liao. Yes. Two yellow-robed Taoist priests responded in unison and chased after Nakamura Jiannan with vigorous strides. Wait a minute. Zhang Beixuan frowned and asked Zhang Xianlin, I worked hard to refine it just to have you kill it. What? If we don't kill it, will we still keep it for the Chinese New Year? And when you refine it, where does it seem like you're putting in any effort? Zhang Xianlin arched his hand in confusion and asked, how does the principal want to deal with it? Zhang Beixuan gave him a disdainful glance, saying, capture and suppress it alive, and then find a place to bury it. When the students from other colleges graduate, dig it up and use it as the graduation exam question for this year. Lying trough. Pooh, pooh, pooh. Blessed is the infinite heavenly sovereign. I'm dressed up. The pain of the first physical death and the second spiritual breakdown is far less tragic than the tragic ending of the third transformation into a living corpse. It seems that the principal was thoughtful. Such a despicable little day should be subjected to eternal torment. Zhang Xuanlin's face showed a contented smile. I have been taught. Xianqing, Xuani. Did you two hear the principal's instructions? Xianqing turned around and smiled, please rest assured, principal and senior brother in charge. We are more than enough to deal with such a level of wrongdoing. After speaking, Xianqing, who was over 60 years old, flipped his somersault 3 meters high and jumped directly in front of Jiannan Nakamura, kicking him in the chest. Bang, a fierce collision sounded, and Nakamura Jiannan, who had been heavily kicked, suddenly slid back 4 meters away. Upon seeing the situation, the late Taoist Xianyi didn't hesitate to kick him in the back. Bang, Nakamura Jiannan stumbled for a moment and then fell towards the position where Xianqing Laodao was. Junior brother. Got it. Xianqing smiled as he leaned sideways and kicked Nakamura Jiannan away before he could land. Please rest assured to take action, senior brother. I'll take all the orders from my side. Xuani Lao Dao unleashed 3 consecutive kicks into the air at the flying Nakamura Jiannan. Bang 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 bang. All 3 feet hit, and Nakamura Jiannan, like a shell, howled and threw it towards Xianqing Laodao. Zhang Beixuan watched as Jiannan Nakamura was kicked back and forth by the two of them, and couldn't help but have black lines all over his head on the spot. Playing. How old are you two? Do you think this is a physical education class, practicing playing football? Hurry up and stop me. You can't afford to kick it out. Hee hee. Xuani Lao Dao chuckled foolishly and scratched his head. Good principle. Zhang Beixuan spoke up, and Xianqing, the old Taoist, had no choice but to put aside his playfulness and decisively took out a yellow talisman to stick on the head of Jiannan Nakamura. The yellow talisman paper was pasted on his forehead, and Nakamura Jiannan not only stopped shouting, but also stopped struggling like wood. Meanwhile, what happened on the martial arts stage not only stunned the photography team, but also completely overturned their values. Gollum. The chubby director couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva, and the cold sweat on his back had already soaked through his clothes. Xiao. Xiao Zhao. You go up and interview Principal Zhang. Oh. Zhao Mengqiu suddenly regained consciousness and walked towards Zhang Beixuan with a stunned expression. Zhang. Principal Zhang. Are there really demons and monsters in this world? Zhang Beixuan was seriously stunned and said, demons and monsters. What are you joking about? Now is the 21st century. We have to believe in science. As soon as these words were spoken, all the disciples in the inner courtyard of the heavenly master mansion were filled with smiles on their faces. However, due to the presence of Zhang Beixuan, none of them dared to laugh out loud. Zhao Mengqiu sucked deeply into the atmosphere and looked into his eyes with a serious expression. Principal Zhang. Can you explain to us what happened just now? Hi. Zhang Beixuan sighed with a faint smile. I spent 320 yuan outside to hire a temporary actor for the 4 small days just now. Can an actor who costs 80 yuan each make you look like this? Can't you find a suitable reason to deceive others? Zhao Mengqiu was full of madness and said, Principal Zhang. Can you be more serious, please? Pushi. Several Taoist priests in the crowd couldn't hold back their laughter and let out a faint laugh. Zhang Beixuan sternly rebuked, Zhao Jusher, please be serious. Can't you all hear me? Principal. The disciple suddenly remembered that there was still tea boiling in the room. In order to avoid a flood caused by the tea drying up, the disciple had to leave first. Zhang Xianlin, the head teacher, arched his hand and took 3 steps back, cleverly turning around to escape the scene. The disciples, upon seeing this, also found various strange reasons and left this land of right and wrong. Principal. The old ox in the fields is preparing to give birth to a lamb. I have to hurry back to help it give birth. Principal. My 3rd aunt got married today, and I have to hurry back to congratulate her on her birthday. Principal. I pinched my fingers and calculated that I shouldn't go out today. I'd better go back to my room and stay. Netizens in the live broadcast room saw hundreds of Taoist priests leave one after another, which immediately sparked a wave of comments. God's his mother tea is boiling dry, and there's a flood. Go to hell and get sheep. These poor old men are really funny. The old man in his 60s and 70s jumped up 2 or 3 meters in place. You still want us to believe in science? I'm Ba. I believe in you ghosts. I Nima. Nakamura bitch was like a ball, kicked back and forth by 2 old men in the air 7 or 8 times in a row, without landing even once. Even if Newton had looked at it, he might have doubted whether there was gravity in the center of the earth. There are zombies in the world. His mother mentality has collapsed. What about the actors from the Heavenly Master's mansion before? Could you please step forward? I promise not to kill you. Are you still arguing here? Why don't you hurry up and go to Longhu Mountain to learn from your master? That's reasonable. I seriously suspect that these Taoists are secretly cultivating immortals. Especially the kid wearing a purple robe. Fuck you. You better keep your mouth clean for me. He's my future master. Hee hee. It's probably impossible for you to become his disciple. After all, even the head and deputy head of the inner courtyard have to call him Grand Master Uncle. If you go, you'll only have to be a grandson. What's wrong with being a grandson? As long as I can become a student of Tianshi Academy. Even if he turns me into a turtle, I would be willing to do it. Regardless of whether he is an apprentice or a grandchild. Hurry up and sign up first. Damn it. There are ghosts in this world. Without learning some Taoist techniques, I dare not go to the bathroom to pee at night. Chapter 010. Zhao Mengqiu almost was driven mad. You are listening at novelfull.audio. All the inner courtyard disciples on the martial arts arena have dispersed, leaving only dozens of students from the outer courtyard whispering. Zhang Beixuan didn't want to explain too much to Zhao Mengqiu, so he left here leisurely. The many mysterious events that have occurred within the Tianshi mansion not only confuse the photography team, but also become a question in the hearts of thousands of netizens. In order to understand the truth behind solving puzzles, Zhao Mengqiu had to lead someone to pursue them. Principal Zhang. Can I spare you a few more minutes? Zhang Beixuan calmly replied, Zhao Jusher, it's okay to ask. However, I don't like to answer the same question. Zhao Mengqiu quickly stepped forward and stood shoulder to shoulder with him, saying, Did Jiannan Nakamura die just now? He can't die so easily. I have left him a trace of residual soul, and if nothing unexpected happens, he should still be able to endure 180 years of pain. Zhang Beixuan glanced at her with a smile on his face and said, Zhao Jusher. Now that we are in a rule of law society, how could a poor person commit murder and violate the law? I'm not buying it, you purple-robed kid is very bad. Zhao Mengqiu was at a loss for the first time when he met such a cunning and rogue Taoist. He said, of course, Jiannan Nakamura is despicable. But if you beat him up in front of countless viewers, wouldn't you be afraid of being criticized? Zhang Beixuan stretched lazily and said, I have drifted and gone crazy, like clouds and cranes wandering in all directions. Zhao Jusher. The robber came knocking, I can't let him bully me, can I? Red Luan took his arm and stared at him with big eyes, smiling and saying, hee hee. Principal. You used the wrong line of poetry. I'm drifting and I'm crazy, referring to being single and proud. Zhang Beixuan raised his hand and tapped her head, saying, Chinese poetry and writing are vast and profound. Watch fewer short videos when you have free time, so as not to limit your thoughts by them. Oh my. Red Luan covered her head in pain and rubbed her face with grievances. She didn't watch short videos, okay. She just likes playing games. Zhang Beixuan earnestly educated, Hongluan. It seems like you've been at Tianshi Academy for almost 3 months now. You can't even tie a scarecrow now, how come you still have the heart to play games? Red Luan smiled quietly and remained silent, thinking to herself, who made you only teach new students? If I had learned everything, you might have ignored me long ago. Zhang Beixuan spread out his right hand and said, take out your phone, I'll help you uninstall games and quit internet addiction. Hee hee. You uninstalled my game, I can still download it again. Anyway, I will never quit the new student team. I will stick to you for the rest of my life. Red Luan playfully took out her phone and confidently placed it in his hand. Yoha. Huawei's latest model. What level is it? How dare you use the same phone as the principal? Zhang Beixuan held his phone and suddenly fell to the ground. Bang, mobile phone landing, fragmented. Even if the deity uses glue, it is impossible to perfectly restore it. Hongluan paused and coquettishly asked, Principal. Didn't you uninstall the game? Why did you drop my phone? Sample. I won't drop your phone so that you can continue downloading games and playing. Don't think that our principal doesn't know your caution. Zhang Beixuan pointed to the fragments of his phone on the ground and confidently said, this is called physical uninstallation. Hee hee. Zhao Mengqiu beside her couldn't help but laugh, thinking to herself, first it's physical transcendence, and now it's physical unloading. You really play with physics knowledge very clearly. Humph. They don't want to talk to you anymore. Hongluan Jiao snorted and let go of his arm, angrily running towards the outer courtyard. Zhang Beixuan looked at her departing figure and sighed in an old and mature manner, hey. Young people always can't stop playing around. Zhao Mengqiu was amused by his expression, and his face was full of laughter. Principal Zhang. You casually broke Hongluan's phone, aren't you afraid that she will compensate you? Zhang Beixuan continued to move forward and said, 10 lowlies and 9 riches, and 1 is a huge wealth. Her family has more money than our entire heavenly master mansion, what do I have to worry about? Is that what I mean? What I mean is that your behavior of being a role model and casually breaking a student's phone is a bit extreme. Ah. By the way. Tianshi Academy is not an ordinary school. We cannot view your teaching methods with a conventional perspective. Zhao Mengqiu suddenly felt that he was a particularly interesting person. Principal Zhang. The 2 teachers in charge of the inner courtyard both respectfully call you Taisher Shu. Are you the highest ranking person in the entire Longhu Mountain? Zhang Beixuan nodded in a deep voice, since ancient times, elders have emerged from the lowest rooms. There's nothing strange about this. Since ancient times, there have been no elders in the house. Hee hee. Do you think I'm a fool? The two teachers in charge of the inner courtyard are both experts in Taoism, and their actual age is at least 80 years old. How many rooms do you need to accumulate into the rank of Grand Master? Zhao Mengqiu vaguely noticed that there was not a true sentence in his mouth. Principal Zhang. Netizens speculate that the reason for your high seniority is due to your cultivation of immortality. Can you clarify this matter? Zhang Beixuan's mouth curved slightly upwards and said, Our Taoism has been pursuing the path of immortality since ancient times. It is actually normal for people to understand immortality as cultivation. What else can I explain? Why does every question you answer have an ambiguous flavor? Do you Taoists always like to make people guess, which makes you appear very profound? Hey! I really listen to your words, just like Zhuangzhou bringing purification. Zhao Mengqiu sighed to herself for a moment, feeling an inexplicable sense of madness in her heart. Can our photography team go to the inner courtyard to shoot? Zhang Beixuan replied without hesitation, sure. But I suggest you don't go. Because even if you go, you won't be able to take any useful photos. Zhao Mengqiu looked curious and said, Why is this? Zhang Beixuan candidly said, the disciples in the inner courtyard have the ability to cultivate on their own. Most of their meditation places are inside the house, and no outsiders can disturb them during meditation. In addition to their meditation time, they often go out to earn money, so when you go to the inner courtyard, you can only capture some irrelevant things. Zhao Mengqiu couldn't distinguish between the truth and falsehood in his words. So we can only shoot in the outer courtyard. Zhang Beixuan smiled faintly with his teeth in his mouth and said, Feel free. All right. I'm going to give a lecture to the new students. If Xiao Jisher has any other questions, please leave them until after class to ask. Humph. What the hell are you asking? With your seemingly non-answering way of answering, people who haven't had cerebral thrombosis for 10 years can't understand it at all. If I had the ability to defeat you, you would have been beaten into a pig's head by me long ago. Zhao Mengqiu looked at him dejectedly and realized that Tam Hu was not by his side. Principal Zhang. I suggest you go find that little milk dog first, he said, if you're lucky, maybe it hasn't been lost yet. Are you worried about her? Hee hee. You're lost, she can't even lose it. Zhang Beixuan smiled lightly and quickened his pace, Tam Hu won't get lost. Also. She's not a little milk dog, but a strong tiger. A strong tiger. Hee hee. Zhao Mengqiu couldn't help but laugh and cry. A small milk dog as big as a palm, why is it so strong? It's almost like you call it a small milk cat.